Hey everyone, and welcome to the Fandom Forum, where we go into detail on your favorite fandom universes. My name is Dustin, and today I will be your guide to all things Tusken Raiders. We will cover topics from weapons and tech, all the way to culture of this widely known species of the Star Wars galaxy. Tusken Raiders, or Sand People, are native to the planet of Tatooine. They consider themselves the actual locals of Tatooine, and everyone else is simply trespassing. We don't have any characters that are really defined by a name, but we have seen many different tribes throughout all the Star Wars stories. But because they lay ancestral claim to the Dune Sea and most of Tatooine, that is why they feel the right of ravaging and stealing from small settlements. The habitat of the Tuskens are the harsh desert sands of the Dune Sea and other parts of Tatooine. The Tuskens have been on this planet way back when Tatooine had oceans and other waterways. You can never mistake a Tusken for anything else because of its unusual way of speaking and its war cries. The cool thing about Tusken Raiders is that in recent projects like the Book of Boba Fett and even Season 2 and Season 1 of The Mandalorian, we see that the Tuskens are more than just these savages that ravage villages and settlements across Tatooine. Now, we have seen Tuskens in every form of media that Star Wars has content on, from movies to comics to books, the animated television shows, and even now the live-action television shows. We first saw them in A New Hope attacking Luke when he was trying to find R2-D2. We have also seen them in the prequels shooting at pod racers from the Canyon Dune turn during the Boonta Eve Classic, and every medium in between. And the latest of the Tuskens is in the Book of Boba Fett, where we have dived even deeper into the culture of Tuskens, which we are transitioning into right now. So the most interesting part of Tusken Raiders, to me, is probably the culture, and Tuskens do have a very interesting culture, to say the least. They travel in groups of usually 20 to 30 individuals, always led by a chief, and it's always in single file, so that when they're traveling, they can hide their numbers from ongoing attackers. Every year, the young and upcoming warriors, typically males, have to go out and defeat a crate dragon and bring back its pearl as a way of initiation. Also during these initiation rites, they are given a bantha of the same gender, and those two are bonded for life. When two Tuskens get married and have children, so do their banthas. Now, for the most interesting part, I think, is that their clothing of the Tuskens. The Tuskens, depending on whether they're male or female, will wear different styles of coverings. The males typically wear their head wraps, and the females usually a more jeweled or just a stylish head mask. Over time, and the conditions of Tatooine getting harsher, they began to cover all of their bodies so that no skin would be revealed. So like Din Djarin, like we saw in The Mandalorian, and his creed of Mandalorians, they never take off their helmet, just like the Tuskens never take off their head dressings or their clothes, except during childbirth, in which child Tuskens are called Ulia, coming-of-age ceremonies, and their wedding nights. Those are the only times they will take off their head dressings or their clothes. No outsider has ever seen the face of a Tusken and lived to tell the tale. One last thing on the culture is that Tuskens were always known to keep their word, as Din Djarin shows us in Mando Season 2 that if you aren't hostile and show tribute, you may share passage through their land. The Tuskens also found water to be very sacred to them, and because the planet is now dry, and is pretty much a wasteland at this point, water was hard to come by, which is why they raided moisture farms a lot of the times. They also would harvest melons that contained milk, and they survived off of those for the majority of their liquid or whatever. The Tuskens have a very simplistic and third world kind of culture where they're not super into technological advances and they're very set in their ways. And we can see that like even with like Aborigines and stuff like that that are across the world. I would almost compare them to like Aborigine people who don't go through technological ages or advances, and they just kind of stay the same throughout their entire existence. But that's pretty much the culture of the Tusken Raiders. Up next, we have, drum roll please, weapons and tech. So Tuskens were kind of a third world nation when it came to technology, really only living off the land and never really having resources to get that kind of technology that other people like the Empire had. So one thing they did have was cycler rifles. That was about the most advanced things we've ever seen a Tusken really have. And a cycler rifle is essentially a sniper rifle that can make shots at great distances, like we've seen in the pod racing scenes from The Phantom Menace, or most recently in Episode 3 of the Book of Boba Fett during that train scene when the pikes are railing through on no actual rails, just kind of drifting through the sand, taking out Tuskens. It's quite a lifestyle there, pikes. But anyways, the other tools that they were known to use was a Gardafi stick or Gatorfi stick. I don't know how to pronounce that. You guys let me know. But anyways, they formed them out of salvaged materials, and each Tusken made their own to kind of fit their own combat styles, and one never looked the same as another. Kind of like a snowflake. So the Trang, T-R-A-N-G, the Trang, which is the curved end of the stick, can also be covered with sandbat venom. Ouch. That would give its inflicted enemies paralyzing properties. That sounds like fun. Anyways, let's stop talking about paralyzing people, because that could get me marked off of YouTube. Anyways, that's pretty much all the weapons and tech that we see Tusken Raiders carrying. If you've seen anything else, let me know. But I've only seen the Gator Fi stick, whatever, or their cycler rifles. So if you've seen any other ones, you guys let me know in the comments below, because I would love more knowledge of Star Wars. And I obviously don't know everything, but I'm very close. Okay, anyways, let's go to the next topic. For this segment, let's talk about the behind-the-scenes action of Tusken Raiders. That was my weird narration voice. Anyways, Tuskens didn't always really start as native people to Tatooine. And in fact, the Tuskens actually appeared initially in the second draft of Star Wars A New Hope as Imperial spies deployed as a platoon onto the surface of Tatooine. A Tusken Raider in Episode 5 of the Season 1 of Mandalorian was played by Troy Kotsur, who was the first ever deaf actor to play a character in a Star Wars installment. Here's the next fact. The Tusken Raiders' barking speech was created by sound designer, most famously, the most famous one of all, Ben Burtt. Let's give a round of applause for Ben Burtt. Whoop, whoop. He was using the sound of donkeys braying, whatever the heck that is, and Tunisian mules barking and echoing off of canyon walls. Who knew that those were the sounds of the Tusken Raiders? I'm not even going to attempt a sound of the Tusken Raider. Maybe I'll post something on social media of me embarrassing myself and trying to do a Tusken Raider voice. But anyways. That's about all the behind-the-scenes knowledge I got for you guys. There isn't a whole lot to tell about Tusken Raiders. Obviously, I would still like to see a lot more stuff of Tusken Raiders. The Book of Boba Fett has been giving us a lot more, like I said earlier, a deeper dive into the culture of Tusken Raiders. But I still think there's areas of Tusken Raiders that we still haven't seen. And that's a good transition into our next topic, which we will talk about right now. So for the final segment of this episode, before the outro/conclusion, which we'll get to momentarily, I would like to just talk about what I want to see more out of the Tuskens. So the first thing I would like to see, I think it'd be super cool, I don't know how they could pull this off, but a Force-sensitive Tusken Raider. End of story. Don't know how they would do it. Lucasfilm, if you're hearing me, if you're one of my 2 subscribers, let's do it. Let's make it happen. I also would like to see more tribes of Tuskens. I know we've gotten to see more in this Book of Boba Fett and stuff like that, but if there's tons of tribes scattered throughout Tatooine and the Dune Sea and all that stuff, let's see more. Let's see. It's probably all going to be slightly the similar as far as culture and stuff, but everyone's going to have their own slight variations as to things. So, let's see more of that. Why not? I think the coolest thing and the most possible thing out of all of this would be a Tusken bounty hunter. I think that would be epic for sure. Because, imagine bounty hunting with that Gafferty stick, or whatever the heck it's called, and, like, a modified cycler rifle. Dude, talk about deadly. Talk about like Fennec Shan, but like doesn't speak basic and just like weird sounds. So I think they'd be kind of cool. I mean, why not? Lucasfilm, let's make it happen. Maybe a story. I think the final thing, which you could tie into this bounty hunter story, maybe a story about a Tusken who wants to leave the culture behind and the tribes and all the experience that he's had with Tuskens, and leaves it for an experience of life outside of being a Tusken. And then maybe he comes back to help the clans progress in technology, or whatever kind of story. That's copyrighted by DP Productions. That's totally made up, but I'm gonna write a story about that. So no one take my idea, please. Thank you, and good night. So anyways, that's about all I would like to see potentially in the future. I don't think we're going to see any of this, but I think it'd be super cool to see it. So that's all there is. Thank you. Well, I think that'll conclude today's video on the Tusken Raiders. Tune in next time to see the next in-depth look at the next species we will discuss, and I think that's going to be the famous Jawas. So, as always, please subscribe and please share if you feel this information was valuable or entertaining. Please follow our Facebook page to get the latest discussion threads, news, memes, and more. And why not tell a friend about me? Yours truly, the man in the helmet here. So, yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys subscribe, share, like, comment, whatever. Just give me some interaction to deal with online, Give me something to talk about, Star Wars related. I just live and breathe Star Wars, so let's do it. Like I said, share to a friend. You never know if, can't talk. You'll never know if they like me. I mean, they probably won't. I'm kind of a nerd, so yeah. Anyways, have a great one, and as always, like Obi-Wan says to Luke when Luke is destroying the Death Star, or about to destroy the Death Star, Luke, use the Force. The Force will be with you. Always. Okay, bye guys.